Mr. Oakes, I've been having some issues collaborating with others on the team, maybe some others at HubSpot to get some deals across the finish line.
Hmm.
Uh, I feel like we've got the buy-in we need at times, and then somehow we don't get there. I feel like we've got all the contacts, associated. We've identified, the people that are going to be impacting this stuff, and uh, somehow there's new stakeholders that come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like, how do we like? I've heard you're the guy to talk to about deal tags. I've been looking for ways to utilize them. I know they help with situations like this, and I'm looking for some help today.
I guess you've heard about my deal tags tattoo, huh?
I did not, but it doesn't surprise me that
Yeah.
that might exist.
Um, yeah. That's a common story, right? When you are multi-threading with prospective customers and also with partners or vendors, or even like internally if you're multi-threading with um, somebody at your organization who has a connection with somebody at the prospective customer, or you have a VP or a C-level exec who's in the same, you know, trade group or council or something as somebody at the target customer, and trying to keep everybody on the same page and get that surfaced in the CRM. I mean, there's a lot. Deal tags can't solve all of those problems for you, but one of the challenges is that organizations have in these situations is the data is complex and it's all over the place. And if you don't know what's there, or even that something could be in the system and you have to go look for it, that is a major problem, because not a lot of reps, for example, have all day long to go figure out what all the properties in HubSpot mean, even if we name them clearly and have good descriptions. Like, you know, uh, the a lot of junior admins, we've all experienced this at some point, and maybe you as you've grown, are admins or stakeholders, you say, well, where is that in HubSpot? And when we were junior admins, or a junior admin might say, like, well, it's obviously in the property called multi-threading with CEO checkbox, right? And it's like, well, I don't, A, didn't know that existed. B, I didn't know that that's what I should search for. C, I am busy, like making calls and working with customers on defining the shared future we are trying to create together. Uh, I can't be all day wondering if it's multi-threading, or if I should add a deal split, or if I should add our CEO as a association, or as another owner property to the deal or checkbox or whatever. I don't know any of this stuff, right? The advantage of deal tags, the thing that I like about them so much, is that if you were, I'm going to pull up a pipeline, if you would drop
I-
my,
I've got one ready.
okay,
I think
yeah,
it's
pull it up.
the same. Let's see here. Okay,
Yeah.
let's
So
try.
this is what most pipelines look like, right? Like we have deal names, we have amount, we have a couple of important properties here. Maybe you've even got these customized so that they show other things, or that the quick actions there at the bottom right, which uh, $5 to everybody who knows what they all do, are tuned for your organization. I would say that easily 80% of portals look like this. They don't have any customization to these records whatsoever, these
Yep.
views. Plus, reps are going to look at it from a table view, or they're just always going to search, whatever, right? And so, like, this view is meant to be scannable, You should be able to quickly identify the column, the stage of the process that this deal is in, and critical information about it. And then maybe you expand the preview or you drill down into the deal, and there are more properties visible there, including like usually left-hand sidebar where 90% of the properties available on the deal have been dumped at some point and they're completely disorganized. Maybe you have a center column card and you have right hand column association cards that probably still have all of the defaults like tickets and things on there that don't matter to your sales process.
Yeah.
That is the opposite problem, right? Too much useless data. In this view that we have here, it's some orientation data, but not enough useful data.
Right. And just a lot of noise when it's come together in an unintentional way, right? Like, because let me
Yes.
tell you, you show this to people and they can get like sales people, like they get excited at the concept of doing everything from one place and not having to go and search
Yeah.
when we don't take the time to say like, do these buttons matter to you? And this is where the break between admin and user, like from
Yeah.
my perspective, right? I'm not the guy that's making a Kanban board first, right? Like I like the list views. I like to work out of tables. I like, the whole like edit it like Excel, right? But I know that a lot of people in the world love their board views, right? But it's hard for me to look at this from their perspective because it's not my first go to. Like, obviously, create a quote, like note, email, yeah, get a summary from Breeze, open up the preview panel. By the way, this is now a different way to do this from everywhere
Mm-hmm.
else in the
Yep.
platform that you might be used to. Uh, and now we see, our associations, right? So it's all here very quickly, especially when, in most cases, and we won't 4 deals like on this page, like it's just, we've got to avoid the mode of like, there's a bunch of value here. And it's like, oh no, let me just, which one am I trying to work on? Meridian. All right. I'm getting out of here as fast as I can.
Right.
Right. Meanwhile, they tell you that they want to be able to prioritize and understand who needs to be worked on and where the value is, which is what we're going to do with the deal tags.
Yes.
But it's a balance, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great way to put it. But it's a balance. Like there's a little bit of like the faster horse thing here, which is if you ask a rep, like, look, tell me what you want, your perfect view, and I will get as close to it as possible. They will say, various forms of, look, I want everything in one place because I don't want to go like around and look for stuff. And often what that means is that they don't want like no hunting or searching, but it means that how would I describe it? That they need the framing to be consistent, right? Which is like they don't want a mode where when you're creating an email you go into this view, and when you're creating a note you go into this view or this place, right? That's why quick actions exist. I don't know. I think I probably can't count on one hand the number of reps that like click the create a note quick action on a deal, but but if you put everything in one view to try to meet that request, the letter of that request, then it is going to be too much detail, too much noise, overwhelming, right? And the Kanban board overview orientation, help me see at a high level, drill down into a deal for the details, is a common interaction pattern. And there's we could go down a rabbit hole here, but one of the things like you can't put everything in one view to see all of the important information about all of the deals, right? It's just not possible for companies. But there shouldn't be important information in some views and not in others. And the most important information should be the most important in the interface, right? So what I love about using deal tags for clients is we can take that complexity, that depth, like, yeah, our sales process, we need all of the default built-in HubSpot properties for deals, and we need 5, 10, 50, 100 custom data points that get encoded as properties or relationships. But the actual work of closing these deals doesn't correlate with those properties, right? Like, yes, in a stage of a pipeline, a rep needs to provide one of those pieces of information, right? Like we might require, look, we're not advancing to generate a quote until we have these 5 critical pieces of information to be able to generate an accurate quote. That is an absolutely legitimate business process. Their job is to collect that data and get it into HubSpot in support of everything else they are doing in the sales process. And we can use deal tags to pull the complexity of the relationships and the properties and all of that stuff and surface it at the top level of the deal without them having to worry about well, which property is what, blah, blah, blah. And we can just say look, here's a status or a mode that the deal is in. And it's defined by rules that touch these 5, 6, 7, 10 places on a deal, and we can just turn that into a deal tag. The complexity of remembering all of these different pieces goes away, and they can get a deal tag that tells them yes, no, or on a scale, or don't forget to kinds of things, and then we can use that for reporting, list building, everything else. So let's take a look at a little bit of a complicated use case. You mentioned trying to collaborate with reps or with partners on stakeholders that get brought into deals. So we've got some deals here, and as you can see, looks like each of them has at least 3 or 4 contacts associated with the deal. And so just pick one of those and click in. All right, so Brightline Financial, we're doing a revenue architecture proposal or opportunity with them. So fly out the right-hand column and let's look at who's on this deal. So we have a champion, Ethan Brooks. There, that's good. Mia Delgado, economic buyer, CFO. Okay, we got a center column card. That's great too. And Raj Patel, end user. And we've got a decision maker. So that's a pretty good buying committee. But in order to even start to understand what the buying committee identified for this deal was, we had to click in here and we had to read each of these association labels on the contact cards. If you're working 10, 15 deals in a stage of the pipeline and you cannot keep in your head, which most of us can't, which do or don't have the decision maker identified and associated with the deal, A, and B, engaged in the sales process, if you can't keep that in your head, is the goal or the action what I do is I just go think, well, what's my high leverage activity for the day? And I click into each deal one by one, the 10 deals I have open in the commit to value stage of the pipeline, and I check for decision maker. And if there isn't, then I go back into my email and I email my champion and say hey, can we get a decision maker on this? Or is it you, as I call it, you work the top of the inbox if people are responding to your texts, your WhatsApps, your emails, then you are trying to remember do we have a decision maker on this? Is this person's role champion? What what do I do? What do I need to do on this? And so then you go open the deal in HubSpot and go down, scroll to contacts, look and see if you have decision maker association label. Oh shoot, there's a contact here with no association label. What's their role? I forget. Oh, they're the EA for the CEO, but the CEO is not the decision maker. Like, that's too much. You're asking too much of the rep. This is the thing. These are the things that we want HubSpot to do for us, right? So let's bring some visibility to this stakeholder challenge with deal tags.
Yes.
So
And just
go
a
ahead.
little bit, like, just to show the why here again. And you can see, so we're like halfway through the value path stages on this show. We're talking about the buyer stage and understanding that we're in a world where it takes more than one person on the buyer side to move forward, with your organization, right? And even in the way that these stages are structured, like we're setting it up to understand, like, oh, just because the quote was done doesn't mean it's gonna move forward. Just because we got the demo done, like, we have to evaluate value, and there's people on the other side, not an executive assistant, that can evaluate that value, right? There's people, technical buyers, that can say, let me understand how it's mapped. Yeah, that's better than ours. Like, and that's going to save us this amount of time in this part of the organization. Like, yes, validated, right? And then commitment. And this commitment part, right? Like, this is where, like, so for Brightline, like, in like, usually we're on the sales meeting, truly understanding all of the nuance, but sometimes still missing it because we've got a decision maker here, right? But in our system, if it's at this stage, it's 80%, right? It's
Right.
80% good, right? This one has a decision maker. Yeah. It looks like we've got all the people that can commit to value and actually like close us or activate it.
Yes.
Then here, um, if I refresh here, like also in commit to value, right? And that might be because, right, we had somebody evaluate it,
Right.
right? We had somebody else validate it, like, yep, this can work for ours, but we don't have the decision maker yet, right?
Yep.
And if we don't get the decision maker, it will not close. So now we have two deals sitting at 80% that is not real, right? Meanwhile, we have, like, in these two cases, we have everybody we need already involved and engaged. And
Right.
there's a chance that a little bit more effort or focus on this side probably close faster than the one where we don't have the decision maker.
Right. Yeah. Uh, might close faster, but at the very least won't stall out in the commit to value stage where we are saying like, okay, now this is where we are saying go no go, right? And we don't have the person who has the authority to say that at the table yet, right?
Yeah.
And over time, we can of course like analyze this, right? It's everybody will tell you, look, whoever the real decision maker is, they should not be identified. Uh, once you have entered negotiation, right?
Right. Or
Yeah,
else
and so
they're going
like
to make the decision you don't want them to make.
right, or you what it means is you're going back to the start. Um, so yeah, so like we want to be able to see here in this high level overview what how are we doing on this? Have we checked off our checklist? Which is not a property. We don't want a property that's like check all of the items that are done on this property, and then that signals that the deal can advance. That's too much. It's too prescriptive. We also want to be able to see that in other contexts, right? Like, I'm a multimodal. I go Kanban to table to report and then jump over to segments and work across all of these different views. And you prefer to work in a table view. Well, if we're surfacing this complexity so that multiple parties can participate in this and be on the same page, you need to be able to see that. I need to be able to see that. The sales manager needs to be able to see that. So we're trying to solve for all of those use cases. So let's create a deal tag that, or let's create two actually, that track our decision maker association with our deals. So, yep, there you go. We're going to jump over to the settings. Pipelines is where you want to go. And then make sure we're on the right pipeline, which we are. And then there's an opportunity tags that will read deal tags if you haven't changed the name of your object. And now you have to, for some reason, click again to manage, and that takes you to the view where you can actually edit them. And then add tag. And we get some presets. Those aren't, some of those, they're okay, but we're going to start from scratch. All right, so this is our tag setup. We need a name. The no decision maker, that works. We're going to create two. We're going to create a yes decision maker and a no decision maker just to show this. One of the, I like these as red, green, right? So our no. Another, just like pro tip here, is you have access in your name field to an emoji picker there. And these deal tags, it's better if they're shorter, but they should always be clear. So I have some deal tags that are I use a coffin, like just a coffin, if a deal is violating the aging policy and is about to be auto-killed by the system. And for decision maker, I might use instead of no, I would just might use a prefix it with a like red light decision maker, and then red colored tag, because then you can just do the same thing just to green, and the tag looks like it changes its mode, which is a really handy.
Yeah, this is how you know we're talking to the expert on deal tags, folks. Like,
yes.
Playing around with the interface like this. I mean, it goes so far in terms of getting the adoption that we need.
Yes.
For this stuff to matter, right?
I've a couple of times I've had this where I rolled out a deal tag without telling anybody, with the intent of like, I want it to populate the interface and blah blah blah, so that when we review it on our next call with a stakeholder, I can say, all right, here's what is rolled out, here's where it occurs, and blah blah. And the first thing they say when we get on that call is like, oh, I love the deal tags. They show me XYZ. And I'm like, all right, well, we're done here with that part of the agenda, because fortunately it was so clear that it took care of itself, right? You don't always hit a grand slam like that, but it's surprisingly possible to do that with these. So we're going to apply this. Go ahead.
I think most of, like, we see them as quality of life updates, or yay, like you can match the colors in your spreadsheet now and we can bring them in, like the visuals that they keep updating the system with. Again, like, this is why, like, the way that you're talking about it, about picking this icon specifically and managing it, knowing that this is going to be there and we don't need the word no. And now, like, all of these things start to go in, instead of just like, okay, we're just going to add one of each of these colors. And right, like, that level of intention is what leads to the home runs, like when they do happen, because it's like, it inherently says you understand me as a user.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Because like almost every sales team is constantly asking for stuff like this. And, there's been other tools that we could use and other Chrome extensions and all this stuff, right? But like, now that you can build it in, yet you have opportunities to do this stuff that you haven't had before. And
Yeah.
that, like, these are the little things, little, that get adoption like you've never seen before,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly. We invented emoji, and we use color as signals because it is super fast for us to process things like that. There is additional cognitive load to reading the words, but we can also recognize words by sight. So the combination of the shape of the word's decision maker and those colors make that recognition instantaneous, right? And we want to just keep using those patterns. You know, people say like, "Oh, it's just a quality of life update for things like this." It's like, well, hey, look, I will take every quality of life update I can get. I don't want. I don't.
We want high quality of life. That's what we
Yeah.
want, like,
What else
right?
would you be? What are we doing here?
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead and click add here. We'll add a filter. This is how we determine whether this tag is going to appear. Now you will see here we have a filter building interface like we have with a lot of other places in HubSpot. So scroll up, hit opportunity properties there. And you can see we can just choose, again, this is the deal object in this context having been renamed to opportunity. So these are all the deal object properties. Amount, we can create a filter here like anything that we can create for a list. Almost not anything. A lot of the things we can do with lists or with filters on index views or reports, etc. It is a little bit limiting, but you can, do things like we're not talking about this today, but a high value deal, right? If you have a distribution of amounts that says like, look, above this amount, this is like super important. You don't want to have to make that a filter. You can just say like, pick amount, simple from here. For checking whether we have our buying committee associated, this approach of filtering on deal/opportunity objects is inadequate. So we need to cancel and back out of this and go back into, or there you go, all categories. So we are going to use that list membership item. And we now have, you can see here, we have some pre-made lists for us to demonstrate here, including one that is decision maker. Now, these are samples, so name your lists more clearly. But if the deal is a member of decision maker, apply this tag. Now, this list is including deals that have a decision maker contact associated with them. So yes, we need to say if they're not on this list, then they are going to get decision maker red. And so if you click next, we can preview our tag and see that's what it's going to look like on the card view, right? If you enter a value in that description, you will get that value as an explanation when you hover over it, the view of the tag, right? So for like, you can just say, this deal doesn't have the decision maker identified and associated with the deal. Make sure you do that. It's a super useful application when you use, and I do recommend you figure out where the right place is to do this, but the single emoji deal tags, which take up very little space, if there's a good emoji that works with it, then you can hover over and get the explanation, right? Like this is hopefully redundant, but good practice to set it up. So go ahead and save that. And it's going to take a minute for that to process, but let's add another tag. Same thing from scratch. We're going to create the pair of this, which is green light decision maker. It might be. I guess you have a different emoji set. Maybe search for dot. There is a green dot. I don't know what it's going to call it for you. Interesting.
Of course. Let's do green heart for now.
Yeah.
And do we still put a description in this case?
I put them in every case.
Decision maker is associated.
Period. Great job! Exclamation point. And then green background. There you go. And then we're going to use that same approach, but we're going to say is a member of the list. There we go. And the anecdotally, if you define your tags directly, you can use that filter view and just build simple filters like, deal is in stage X, amount is greater than Y. Those get applied pretty quick. Particularly if you have a lot of deals, I've noticed that if you use list-derived definitions for tags, they can take 30 seconds or something to populate as it kind of churns through. Our lists, go ahead, there we go. There's our tags.
Look at that.
Our lists, just as a tip, I exclude, I was about to say every. For the most part, I constrain the definition of segment-based tags to open deals. Now, sometimes there's a good reason, not sometimes, there is a good reason to have tags that apply to closed deals. But for this use case, obviously, if a deal is closed won or closed lost, like maybe you want to keep the decision maker tag around for reporting or analysis or something like that. But it's perfectly all right to expire those tags when a deal gets closed, or to only have them applied in certain stages as well. But let's talk about this real quick. There you go. Yeah, you can filter and say like, where are my deals that are missing a decision maker? And because our criteria for that tag is the list, if we like go into one of our others like that has decision maker green, just open one of those deals and let's remove the association label from one of the contacts of decision maker. And then back out to our board view, and you'll see that it twiddles over to red. You'll have to refresh and it might take a second. Our list criteria, or our deal tag definition criteria we might be in our 30-second refresh here if it saved the change to the record. Our list criteria for that red-green, we want to just be diligent that they are mutually exclusive, right? Because what we are essentially, we're trying to reproduce, I guess, the perception that so it's just going to take a second to refresh, that deal tag is actually is like two states of the same deal, which it is, right? But what we are trying to convey, look, these deals can be in two states. They do not have a decision maker, or they do, and so it goes from red to green. So when you are creating tags that are binary, I guess we could say, just make sure that your rules fully align for all those cases. And because we are just saying is on the list, is not on the list, makes it a lot easier to set up and maintain that for these kinds of records. So go ahead and pull up that decision maker list, and we'll just look at the configuration really quickly. or no, first let's do this. We talked about needs to be visible everywhere. Switch to the table view. If this is a default config, we'll probably need to add the tags. Yeah, so edit columns. Deal tags are configured differently, but they are in most cases uh, treated like a property, which means they are selectable as filters. They are eligible for inclusion in report for inclusion filters for reports. Um, on and on. You can use them for enrollment criteria with workflows, all of that. So, so here's the example of, we saw it in the board view. If you're a board view worker, we can set it up and save the view if you are a table view worker, and then go ahead and open one of the deals. Zoom one out in the preview. You had this before, but the preview, the default location, we might need to configure it, but
Like having it like
show
here.
up. Yeah, the you can have it that you can treat it as a property here. You can also set it. I don't think this has changed with the new. I haven't double checked with the new board controls to set it as search for tag.
Yeah.
Um, you can set it
See the preview here.
in the preview. You can also set it. I believe you can still set it in the. I forget what they call the top of the record on that preview view.
Oh, in this card?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
And then open the detail view, like the full view of the record as well. Well, maybe I think you changed that card from the
Yeah.
record customization, but open the. You can do that, or we can look at the.
Preview.
Yeah.
Right. That's the same spot.
Oh no,
Looking
I guess we
for
can't.
this thing. Well, it's maybe on the setup area. There's a spot where I believe we can change those.
I haven't double checked to see if they've been removed in some cases where I think I had it. But the other place we want to see it too is like if you are working in the record detail. So like opening the individual record in full, not just the preview, like click on the opportunity name there.
And having it here.
Right there.
Right.
And in this way you can treat it like a tag anywhere, right? Like here you can put it in the overview, in a center column card, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So and tags are all tags belong to the same property when you are setting it up this way. So if you you don't always need to, but if you have like unified use cases of red green for some of your critical your buying committee, or non-stage milestones in the sales process have a similar true false. Did we collect for some sales processes, did we already collect an NDA? Did we already collect an LOI? A lot of people think like, well, those are required, so I map those to a deal stage. But you don't want to say, well, we're waiting on an LOI, so we can't advance the deal yet to the next stage, but other activity that's moving the deal along is happening. And yes, the LOI is, we ask for it now because we need it by here, and it's okay if we don't get it till here. So you don't want it to be stage blocking, but you do need to surface the collection of something like that. Like that's a great like true false version.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I want to get into some more use cases like that, because this is how you keep the mess out of the stages themselves and out of tasks and notifications and like
yes,
at the end of
and
the day,
multiplying properties.
right? Yeah. At the end of the day, it's like it's a complex buying journey that needs a complex sales process, and tracking those things and systematizing them requires a complex system, which can be made to then simplify it for the users, right?
Yes.
That's at the end of the day, that's the goal, right? Um, so we're going to keep digging in to this topic because there's so much opportunity in almost every HubSpot portal out there to
Yeah.
just make a few clicks and all of a sudden quality of life goes through the roof,
Yes.
right?
Things get clear. They are surfaced without having to put 50 properties in every view. A little bit of description and the things become self-evident. It's fantastic.
Yes, indeed. So join us next week and we'll keep this conversation going. Thanks so much, Oaks.
Thank you.